A woman, humiliated and publicly shamed in court by her own sister, a powerful and feared federal judge, bows her head amidst laughter. She is mocked, reduced to nothing but a shadow of the past, a woman without credentials or presence. But beneath her calm exterior, behind her lowered eyes, lies a masterfully constructed plan. A plan woven in silence, forged by betrayal, injustice, and pain. When she finally speaks 4 quiet words, the courtroom's laughter dies, fear replaces mockery, and the foundations of every institution involved begin to crumble. There were once 2 sisters born into the illustrious Belmont family, a family whose lineage was steeped in generations of influence, wealth, and power. The Belmonts had produced governors, lawyers, Supreme Court aides, and renowned legal scholars. Their home was a mansion filled with mahogany shelves of law books, marble staircases, and family portraits that reeked of legacy. Sophia Belmont, the elder, was everything the Belmonts celebrated. She was born with fire in her blood and ice in her eyes, brilliant, calculating, and unapologetically ambitious. She excelled at everything. Debate captain, valedictorian, Harvard Law graduate. She was nicknamed the Hammer by her classmates. She pursued her career with one goal: ascend, dominate, and rule. Elara Belmont, her younger sister by 3 years, was her polar opposite in personality but equal in intelligence. Elara was gentle, deeply empathetic, and highly observant. Where Sophia argued, Elara listened. Where Sophia climbed, Elara stayed behind. She chose to care for their grandmother when she became paralyzed. Later, she nursed their mother through late-stage cancer. Elara traded law books for soup bowls, legal theory for bedtime stories. Her intelligence was dismissed, her compassion overlooked. Their father, Judge Harold Belmont, once said in a family meeting, "Sophia is a beacon. Elara is a flicker in the wind." As Sophia rose in her legal career, she cast her shadow long, and in doing so, she obscured Elara completely. Rumors swirled years later. That Elara had married a mechanic. That she cleaned homes. That she disappeared. But the truth was known only to Elara herself. The trial of the decade was unfolding. The public had its eyes on the proceedings. Allegations had surfaced about a widespread network of corruption involving real estate magnates, sitting senators, police commissioners, and non-profit organizations. Billions of public dollars had been embezzled. The judge presiding? The Honorable Sophia Belmont. Sophia, now in her late 40s, retained her formidable presence. Her reputation as a ruthless yet fair judge had only grown. She had a cold gaze that could silence entire courtrooms. On the 4th day of hearings, a woman entered the gallery. She wore a muted green headscarf, a long coat, and boots covered in slush. Her posture was humble, but her presence drew glances. She sat quietly in the last row, clutching a worn brown leather bag. The courtroom was packed. Media lined the walls. The prosecution presented evidence with a flurry of documents. The defense pushed back with legal jargon and diversion. Then, the woman stood up. "Your Honor, may I approach?" The voice was quiet but firm. Clear. Familiar. Sophia squinted, then stiffened. "This isn't your kitchen, Elara," she said coldly, her voice slicing through the courtroom. "You're just a shadow. Leave." Laughter erupted. The attorneys chuckled. The jury murmured. Some scoffed. Elara stood still. She slowly lowered her head. Her right hand brushed the flap of her leather bag. Her lips moved, barely audible. "Check the sealed files." The courtroom stilled. Even the stenographer paused. Sophia leaned forward. What did you say? Elara looked up. Check. The sealed files. The bailiff approached, confused. Sophia looked shaken. Before he could reach her, Elara pulled a black folder from her bag. I have copies. Gasp. Reporters shot to their feet. Phones were out. The courtroom buzzed like a disturbed hive. Sophia shouted, "Clear the courtroom." Security swept in. Reporters shoved mics toward Elara. Bailiffs struggled to maintain order. Within minutes, chaos broke out. Sophia retreated into her chambers. Elara was escorted, not forcibly, but with curiosity, to a private room. After their mother's funeral, Elara vanished from public life. But not to mourn. She sold her inheritance, a small lake house, and left the country. Under a different name, she traveled across Europe and Southeast Asia, studying languages, encryption, and cybersecurity. She became an underground analyst, working on projects that exposed human trafficking rings in Eastern Europe, uncovering money laundering in Singapore, and assisting journalists in Venezuela. In the deep recesses of the internet, she was known by one name, Alecto. A Greek fury of vengeance. Elara tracked Sophia's career not with admiration, but suspicion. Her instincts, long ignored by her family, proved true. Over the next decade, Elara built a digital library of evidence. Emails from private servers. Surveillance footage. Hidden wiretaps. Testimonies from the dead and the damned. Sophia had buried scandals. Protected sex traffickers. Used her court to silence whistleblowers. Paid by corporations to ensure favorable rulings. Elara built a secure data trap, a network of servers programmed to release everything to global watchdogs and governments if her folder was destroyed. She did not come to court to threaten. She came to end the reign. Flashback ends. In the judge's private chamber, the chief federal prosecutor, visibly shaken, entered with security officials. Ms. Belmont, or should I say, Alecto, he said, half in disbelief, what you possess could destroy the judicial branch. Only those who deserve destruction, Elara replied. Sophia entered, guarded. You think this proves anything? You sealed the files. I unsealed the truth. Sophia's fury turned to desperation. You're throwing away everything for revenge? This isn't revenge, Elara said. This is reckoning. Within 24 hours, international media published damning articles. News anchors trembled as they read the files. Entire websites were dedicated to the Belmont dossier. Sophia's hidden bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. Her secret meetings with known criminals. Her involvement in the silencing of a journalist who went missing in 2016. Within 48 hours, protests erupted. A senator resigned live on TV. 2 CEOs were arrested at airports trying to flee. Sophia was handcuffed in front of her courtroom. Her gavel dropped. Her last words on camera, she was just a shadow. And then, silence. Elara disappeared again. Until a year later. A mysterious non-governmental organization, Project Nemia, formed. Its mission, to expose systemic corruption and aid whistleblowers worldwide. At its head was an enigmatic leader. Known only by the initials EB. Few dared to guess. But whispers told stories. A little girl with curls ran barefoot through a garden of lavender and tomatoes. A woman stirred a pot on a wooden stove, humming a lullaby. Photos of places, of children rescued, of maps and articles lined a wall beside a world map marked with red pins. Above the mantel was a plaque. Sometimes shadows grow not to hide, but to shield. The girl ran in. "Mama, there's a woman outside with cameras." The woman smiled softly. Her braids swung over her shoulder. "Tell her I'm not giving interviews today. She said thank you. And that the world knows." Elara Belmont stepped out onto the porch. The breeze carried the scent of time and liberation. She looked at the horizon, where the sun dipped low. For once, the world was quiet. And justice had a face. The end.